Welcome everyone to Texas Platinum, the last of the real water cooler talk shows on YouTube. I am Trevor, joined by both Matts tonight, or whenever you are consuming this video. Welcome. Obviously, we have not done a show in a minute. I feel like we say that every episode, and it's continually becoming more and more of a stretch. So at this point, we're not even going to apologize for that. Just take it what it is. It's the off season. When you get a video from us, think of it as a gift. This is a free service. This is not paying our bills. We're doing it for the love of the game, and currently we're all collectively real busy right now with life. But spring ball has come and passed. Spring game just happened, and we want to discuss all of that and kind of get up to speed on that topic of spring football. So before we get into it, though, as always, please like, comment, subscribe. If you're new here, welcome. Trying to grow the channel probably wasn't the best pitch. If you're new here, like, oh, I don't know if I should subscribe.
Yeah, look, son.
Yeah. So, but if you do, hey, it doesn't hurt you. It only helps us. And every now and again, you'll be gifted with a video from us. So, and we promise we're a lot of fun. There's other channels out there that might be better in some ways, but you're not going to get us anywhere else than on here. So please do that if you're new, or if you just watch us from time to time. Doesn't hurt to hit subscribe. Guys, quick check-in. How's everyone doing right now? And from that, let's just do initial spring ball thoughts. Not the game, just spring ball opening thoughts.
Yeah, I've been doing amazing. Life is going well, and I'm very drunk on the Kool-Aid, and I'll get into that more. But man, watching the team this spring, I'm very optimistic. And a couple things stood out to me before we get into go in depth about the game. Number one was looking at the teams divided in half, like going up and down the roster and seeing them in the game. It's like there were superstars, or superstars is a strong word, but there were studs on both teams. Like both teams were stacked, both the orange and the white. And that's all going to be one team in the fall for the most part, plus some more talent arriving this summer. So Sark is the program builder, is doing an excellent job. I don't recall seeing a team this deep and talented and experienced with proven talent and talent that's developed in a long time. So that's very encouraging. And seeing some of the new faces here that, the transfers already contributing so quickly is a great sign. Another thing I liked, and it's really been a theme of Sark, which has been since he's been here, which has been quite the contrast to Tom Herman and Yancey McKnight. If you remember in the Herman era, the program that we had, we ran those bloody practices, just super physical, just constant, just full pads. And everybody got injured. I remember playing OU in 2019, our whole team was injured. It was a joke. We had Mason Ramirez starting at linebacker down the stretch, walk on. With Sark, and Torrey Beckton, they've done a great job keeping everybody healthy. You can see their bodies. They look physically, they fill out, they develop physically. And we just really haven't had the injury bug. And you look around the country, A&M has been dealing with it really bad. And I know a lot of it's luck, and I'm knocking on wood right now, but I'm just really happy with the approach that our strength staff has taken. And it's not all about bodybuilding and powerlifting. It's more about being flexible, being fast, being quick twitch, and also that they do get stronger as well. So it's a great balance, and it's paying dividends so far. And in this team, like I said, it's so stacked. Sark has built an unbelievable roster. So staying healthy this season, and it could be a special one. So hopefully we keep that up. But yeah, man, let me pass it to Madrid. What were your general takeaways, and maybe we can talk some quarterback talk.
Very excited. This Kool-Aid tastes different, man. I don't know what flavor this one is, but I like it a lot. Now trying to keep your emotions in check a little bit. This is definitely, I like what you said about building this roster out. Because it's not like we got a we got this great recruiting class, and then now they're all playing. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's really cool that we were able to develop what was some of the talent that was already here in its third year. Like some of the players, and I feel like Keaton Crawford's been around forever, but he's looking like strong and different. But you have these leaders also out of the transfer portal. That's been really nice. We've been doing a hell of a job there. Just bringing in leadership too, which is something kind of unheard of. But there's a lot of buy-in among the players. Paying attention to a lot of the pressers lately, and they just carry themselves with a lot more confidence. I feel like back in the day, they were a little bit more reserved, a little bit more like don't want to say the wrong thing type thing. And I think they still have those type of rules on them and stuff like that. But they just seem like adults in the room. I don't know if you guys saw any of like Byron Murphy's comments saying how like he was feeling like this is the year for a conference championship. This is the pieces that they want. Quinn was surprisingly super reflective the other day after the spring ball game, just telling the media that he felt like he let the fans down last year just because of his subpar performances down the stretch. But it's the fact that we have some self-awareness around the team just goes to show that they probably are keeping a lot of themselves accountable, and they're ushering in this great recruiting class that's coming in, and it's making all the difference. And those guys are going to learn from Byron Murphy. They're going to learn from Sorrell. They're going to learn from Ford. And those are good guys to learn from. And it's to the point where I actually trust some of the older guys now. I don't feel like just get the next younger guy in there already. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I want it to take its time. I see a process now, and I think that's really cool. Yeah, I just also enjoy the love that these players have for each other. Like, I'm sure position groups have always hung out in past coaching regimes, but now you see pictures of like, you know, the linebackers hanging out, or the O-line hanging out, Quinn taking the O-line to dinner, you know, wide receivers hanging out. You know, there's just a lot more camaraderie there, and that stuff is going to mean something when the games get tough in the fall down the stretch, and we need something. So besides the roster and its physical makeup, which is something I haven't seen in my lifetime, I'm hearing this is what they look like in 05 to 09. I was a baby. I don't remember. But for me, the past two coaching staffs we had, these players look different. They look like they actually get better. And I know it's just spring ball, but you can tell when players get better, even incrementally. So I'm really excited for just we talked a lot about culture the past 2 years, but like there's something there now. Like there's something about accountability and selflessness and a lack of ego there that you really see, and they ball out for each other, and their attitudes is different, which is refreshing. So yeah.
Yeah, I wanna tie all that together. Agree with everyone's thoughts. Even I'd say that most fans and followers of this team would say that this is probably the most talented roster we've had in a while. And I feel like we say that every year, but it truly seems that way when you look at the depth charts and the roster and lineup of everything. This is a really a team, and it's not top heavy, you know, where it's like, you know, you have like a really good starter, but their backups are walk-ons, you know. I feel like we've had a lot of teams like that over the past yeah, probably 5 years in particular. You could probably say past decade plus. Yeah, we're finally getting that depth built in. There was a really cool video, blanking on the name of the people that did it, but they did this long sit-down interview with Sark. And he seems very confident in the team. Year 3 feels like this is his team. There's just a resounding, like y'all have said, there just seems to be a resounding amount of confidence in the players and the coaches and everyone, and the people that just follow the program closely, there's confidence across the board that this team can be something special. And like you said, Madrid, there seems to be almost like a no nonsense policy around this program. Like this spring ball, even though it's been filled with the noise of Arch Manning being on campus and stuff of that nature, this has seemed like a very quiet spring ball in a good way. You know, you don't want a ton of noise. You don't, if you do hear a bunch of noise, there might be transfer issues or injury issues or something like that. Virtually no noise outside of just media being excited about Arch, who's not even, you know, going to be close to starting or anything like that. And we'll get into that more, but all in all, just a very productive spring ball, good development. So many leaders on this team, so many veteran players, like new transfers that are insanely talented. The talents of an AD Mitchell or even like a Jalen Catalon, who I feel like we never even talk about anymore, but he's on the team and everything. And, of course, you got the Jalen Fords probably going to be a captain here. Christian Jones probably going to be a captain. So this just feels like a very strong, solid team. I feel like this spring ball has been very productive, very quiet, and has developed, like you said, that confidence within the team, which is perfect going forward into the summer. So that is spring ball. Let's go into the spring game and a little bit of spring ball. It's going to be a mix of things, but we're going to break down position by position group. Let's start with the quarterbacks, because that's probably the most exciting topic, especially coming out of the game. Myers, how about you lead it off? General quarterback thoughts, and we can go off on tangents and go into individual players. There's plenty to talk about there. I'll have you lead.
Yes. I don't know who I want to start with, Malik or Quinn, because both looked great.
Do Quinn since he's our starter.
Yeah, Sark announced after the game that it's a safe. He said Quinn's the starter. Like, we already knew that, but he reassured it, and you can tell. I mean, Quinn looked really good in the spring game. You can tell that he's cut the weight down. Obviously he cut the mullet. He looks, I don't know, maybe it's the mullet that he cut off. He looks way more mobile back there than he did last year. Maybe there was some weight in that mullet, and he looked really confident. He looks more in command. I mean, his timing, I think, can still improve. Like, it's still not perfect Joe Burrow timing, which is like the gold standard. And I think Quinn can get to that level, because he had really good timing at South Lake Carroll, I remember, in a lot of his film. So hopefully he continues to develop his timing. But for the most part, his timing was good, and he was throwing good balls, catchable balls. That's what I love about Quinn. He never he knows how to throw a beautiful gliding ball right in stride, that he's not going to blow his receiver up if he doesn't have to. And I think receivers really appreciate that. I mean, it was good to see him connect with, the old faces like Worthy and Whittington, especially Worthy on that deep ball. So Quinn looks locked in. I still think there's a lot of improvement for him to go, because, I mean, that guy, his ceiling is unlimited, and he knows that. That's why he's taking it more seriously now. But I think it was definitely a promising performance, and really just what you heard all spring was that he looked great in pretty much every practice except one or two. He had a couple, not bad, but, he came down to earth for a couple practices. And that's quite the contrast to last season, because, it was so up and down throughout all the practices, where it seemed like Hudson was going to be the starter because Quinn couldn't, stringing together good practices. So it's good to see that there's some consistency there. He's becoming more of a leader. I mean, even like in his post-game press conference, you can kind of feel that confidence in him. It's a different moxie he has now as a sophomore, and he's kind of taking control of that position, and that's what we want. I mean, the dude's got the talent. He's just got to, just start manifesting it into becoming a first-round draft pick and leading us to a Big 12 championship. And I think he's very excited about the addition of AD Mitchell, because we haven't had a receiver like that where you can just throw it up in this area and he'll go get it. And AD Mitchell is exactly that. So that's going to make Quinn feel even more confident, going downfield, maybe trusting his receivers a lot more, because the receiver room has really improved. So Quinn looked great, and he's only going to get better, because I still think there's a lot of room for him to go. So, yeah, I was happy with Quinn. Obviously, Malik looked. I mean, there were moments I was like, "Holy crap, Malik could beat out Quinn. He looks so good." And he kind of reminds me of like Joe Milton, Hendon Hooker. Just rocket arm, just unconventional footwork. Like he's just standing still in the pocket and just launches the ball to Jonte Cook on the money way downfield. So Malik looked fantastic, and I'll let y'all talk about him a little bit more. But he's a guy that I feel like if Quinn went down in Tuscaloosa, I feel like Malik could, string us together some points. Yeah. So yeah. If Quinn goes down again every time, I mean, at this rate, that's the thing that happens when you play Alabama in football. So Malik will be ready for that moment for sure. And then Arch, yeah, Arch is just a puppy like we all expected. And also he really had a horrible O line. I mean, if you would have put Arch with the first team with the weapons that Quinn had and the O line that Quinn had, I'm sure it would have looked a lot prettier. But no one was expecting Arch to go in and light it up immediately with the third team as 15 days into his basically senior year of high school. So Arch, what I liked was he just looks the part, at least physically, mobility wise, and he's a Manning. He's got the headspace for it. So it's just a matter of time. It's just hopefully Quinn and Malik can stay healthy so we don't have to rush Arch in there because clearly he needs some time to develop.
I think it's so funny, the media world and everyone in the college football world is waiting for Quinn bench Arch in, and for some reason the majority of America believed that would happen, and they believe when a coach says every position is a competition, they go, oh, that means
literal
QB battle. And I know, I don't know, I feel like some people just have the media literacy of a hamster or something. But yeah, I think Sark knew all along, and he was just waiting for the first moment for Quinn to give him a moment to be like, yeah, just to definitively knock this down. And Quinn's our guy. He's always been the guy. Every quarterback that's been under Sark gets better. Like this is not debatable. Like Hudson Card got another job because of his efforts last year, and he has Sark to thank for that. He developed him in a year. So I think that's really cool. Part of me, when I saw Malik balling out, I was like, man, it's transfer city. It's Jover. It's over, bro. Like,
yeah. I got some good takes on this, but keep going.
Yeah, no. But in my opinion, though, I think Sark's handled a hefty QB room before, or at least been a part of one, so he's seen how to handle it. So, and as good as a coach he is at coaching QBs and making QBs better, I don't know why you would want to leave. If you really thought you'd become better somewhere else. But regardless, having a 1-2 that's like, yeah, I feel really good about, really makes me a little bit more at ease, knowing that we will have a competent, even above average, signal caller no matter the game. Hopefully, God willing. Also, even before the spring game, you could hear statements from players talking about how Quinn just looks different. Quinn's taking this more seriously. He's on a mission, which is always good to hear coming from other teammates, because you could always do the like, oh, I'm different, or I'm doing something to get to the next level, and it's like, oh, well, that's good and well, we know you want it, but what do other people see? So I think it's really cool that his teammates noticed that. I don't know if I believe in like a whole mullet and losing weight makes you mentally better, but I don't know, maybe more of a routine makes you better. So I think that's a good sign from Quinn that he's doing stuff like that. As for Arch, I mean, I don't know, people. Like, I don't know. People, I think Caleb Williams and Trevor Lawrence have really spoiled 5-star quarterbacks in general. I think, granted, obviously, if you're a 5-star quarterback, you better be good. But I think the way those two popped on the scene, especially those two, really shifted people's mind and how they evaluate 5-star quarterbacks, or 17-year-old quarterbacks for that matter. He's supposed to be like a finished product already. But for a lot of people, of a lot of players, that's obviously not how it works at all. People wait in a system in an incubator for 1 to 2 years, they redshirt and they learn. And that's what you want, by the way. You don't want if Arch was winning the QB battle right now, Jesus, man. I would be so nervous. That I would not want, and no, I don't want to live in that reality. Tuck him away, put him in bubble wrap, and let him learn how to play quarterback in Sark's system. It's not even, we all know Sark's system is not like, it's not super friendly to someone that's just showed up on campus. So, he's only going to look so good. He's only going to know so many plays and how much he knows the installs and stuff. So, I'm encouraged by all three of them, and I honestly can say I think all of us too will tell you like this is exactly where we thought we'd be with the QB room at the end of the season and how this was going to progress. Anyone with any kind of common sense could see this coming, but obviously a lot of people didn't. But I'm excited for what we saw, and man, I want Quinn to have such a good year that he leaves. But yeah, I will hope for the best with him.
Quick quarterback thoughts. I'll hammer through them. In regards to Quinn Ewers, he I think this is a funny analogy because I just thought of it. I'm sure other people have said it. Not that I've seen at least, but he's on the Jalen Hurts diet. You know how Jalen Hurts, when he transferred, he cut the hair and got all serious.
Oh yeah, acting different, all that stuff.
Yeah. He's on the Jalen Hurts system, which is good because that was a massive transformation for Hurts when he transferred into Oklahoma under Riley, became a great thrower and great NFL player now and everything. So I just found that funny. I will say that while he has made improvements and what I saw in the spring game was good, I still think that there's a long way, which Myers kind of said this too. I think there's a long way for him to go. He didn't blow me away in the spring game, but he also didn't worry me in any way. It was like, okay, like there's improvement here, all around improvement, I would say. Seems a little more confident, everything like that. I love the confidence. I love the intangibles right now look very strong, which is great because that's the hardest thing one of the hardest things. It depends on the player, but I would say that's one of the harder things to really master. And when a player feels good and is mentally sound, yeah, I feel like the physical side is going to naturally come with that. So I don't think he's there yet. He's the starter, so he has that confidence and backing behind him. That Sark's going to back him. Give him the time over the summer to develop and continue to work with these receivers and other players around him. And that coupled with his confidence, I think come the season, he's going to be ready to go and rocking and rolling. So that's great. Malik Murphy, he blew me away in the spring game. He really did. And I think he blew everyone away that was watching. We had a little group text going. I didn't actually send it, but I was about to send like, Malik's really impressing me. And this was before his back-to-back deep balls, which were like freaking money. Before that point, he was throwing really crisp throws, a lot of power, a lot of touch, leading receivers just right, distributing the ball really well. He just looked really good and just real accurate, which is something that I think a lot of people don't think about whenever they see Malik. They're like, oh, big, strong arm, Joe Milton comparison or Hooker or something like that, just like Myers said. But no, he was like distributing the ball, and then he showed off that incredible arm strength and accuracy with those deep balls. I mean, we haven't seen back-to-back deep balls like that in a while. Maybe Quinn did it last season, now that I think about it, in the Alamo Bowl when Worthy dropped both of those long touchdown passes. But nonetheless, still incredibly impressive, especially the one that, actually made it into the end zone with Cook. The amount of loft that was put on that ball and the spot and everything was freaking impressive as can be. And that he did that after Moore dropped it the previous throw is even more impressive. So interesting take with him though is he willing to be patient? And also now that film is out there, schools are going to be coming after him, and Texas is going to have to pay up if they want to keep Malik Murphy around, because there's there's going to be people that are like, oh shoot, like Texas has this guy in the wings, and it's going to be real easy to sway him away from us. I feel like, because you have the narrative of like, well, Quinn's the starter and everyone knows that Arch is going to be the guy, but you're this great talent and you need to be playing here. And I feel like it'll be easy to sell him away from this school. I know we got the Sark and everything, like the whole Sark thing and that relationship. And he seems like a guy that's pretty committed to Texas. I feel like he would have transferred by now if he was having any doubts at this point. So we'll see, but nonetheless, Texas for leverage is going to have to give him his flowers after that game, because that was really impressive. In regards to Arch, I'll keep it brief. Yeah, he's young, he's learning. I think this is funny, but I think one of the best things that could have happened to Arch and to the Texas program is that he played a very average spring game. Because if he played a great game, media would be in a frenzy and there'd be so many distractions. And like I just feel like the whole team, it'd be good because it'd be exciting and we'd all be excited by that. But I do think that him playing an average game like puts that media fire to bed a little bit, has the players, like, okay, Quinn's our guy. Like there's not that extra. You don't need to add more fuel to the fire right now. While this team, I feel like I said earlier, has good leadership and is veteran in many regards, if you can avoid all that extra noise, so be it. That's just going to help. So hot take there is I feel like it was a good thing to allow to kind of humble the media, the team itself, Arch himself, even though he is a humble guy. Good for him to see him look human, and now he can actually focus on learning and not have this pressure and all that stuff that would have come with a great game.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, pretty silent spring in terms of like big headlines or injuries and stuff like that, which is good. But yeah, Trevor, before we move on, I want to just add, yeah, I think Texas really needs to make sure that we keep Malik on the roster this season. One, because Quinn hasn't been healthy for a full season in a long time, since maybe his junior year of high school or sophomore year, because his junior year was his senior year pretty much. So there's a good chance that Quinn goes down in a game, and we need to win games with somebody else. And Malik, for the talent he has, like he's good enough to go in from an injury and maybe just hold on to the job if he continues to play like the way he's looked in that spring game. So, and also assuming Quinn does well and goes pro, I think Malik probably thinks he can beat out Arch at least next year, maybe, and be the QB for at least a year, and then maybe Arch takes over as a redshirt sophomore or something like that. So, got to keep Malik on board because that's a great talent, and we're gonna need him at some point. So, yeah, and as far as the rest of the offense, I'll kind of wrap it all together so we're not just going one by one. So it'll be flow better for the viewers. But the running back room looked good. A lot of options there, a lot of versatility. I want to say I like the way Cedric Baxter looked. He showed some good what's the word? I don't know. He looked good. He had a really nice juke, and he just looked. I'm blanking on the word, but he looked solid. Jaden Blue. Really, yeah. Yeah, Jaden Blue really impressed me because honestly is a guy that I feel like a lot of Longhorn fans just kind of didn't expect much out of. We're just kind of like, oh, Cedric Baxter is going to be the next number one player in the nation. He's kind of going to take over Jonathan Brooks and Cedric Baxter. But no, Jaden Blue looked fantastic. And he's a guy that was rated really high out of high school until he, of course, opted out of his senior year. Then, the ratings dropped like dramatically. But he looks locked in. He almost portaled out, but I'm glad he stayed because he's going to contribute next year for sure. Obviously, we want to see Jonathan Brooks and Keelan Robinson next year as well. Once they get healthy, I still think Jonathan Brooks is going to be the alpha in that room. I mean, he looked so good whenever he got playing time last season and the season before. I mean, it's going to be Jonathan Brooks' season for sure as the number one in my opinion, but we got a nice stable behind him, and obviously Savion Red is the new Roshan, it seems like. So that's very exciting to see. He runs very hard, plays hard. Receiver room, dude. God bless Sark for just completely, as fast as possible, reforming the entire roster. And he said, like, when he showed up, there was like 15 receivers and only like 8 O-linemen, which is like the polar opposite of what he wanted. He wanted it to be the other way around, like only 8 receivers, 15 plus O-linemen, and he's done that. And the thing is, all of our receivers now are just good. Like, they're all proven commodities, young, promising, high 4 stars, 5 stars. Jonte Cook, DeAndre Moore had a drop, but aside from that drop, he looked really good. And he runs good routes, he gets open. But the thing that's most exciting, obviously, is Xavier Worthy looking like freshman Xavier Worthy again. You can tell that he's moving better. Obviously, the drops are gone now. If at least in the spring game, there were no drops. He caught everything that was thrown at him. He's playing with that swagger he used to have, talking trash after plays and stuff like that. So that was our number one guy, arguably, as a freshman on offense. Like, he was our go-to guy, him and Bijan. And he's gonna have to kind of rechannel that this year without Bijan. And obviously AD Mitchell looked phenomenal. So that's very exciting to see those guys. And of course, Whittington, contract year, it's now or never. He even said that after the game on Longhorn Network, like, dude, like, he's got to have a big year now, because if he wants to get paid and have a career in the NFL, he's got to put more on film. And I think he will. He's got the talent. He just needs to stay healthy. And O-line looks great. Of course, all 5 starters return, just grown men. One thing I want to say about the O-line was I was excited to see Nito Yumio Zulu get in the game, because that's a guy that looks the part. Like, physically, he looks like maybe one of our most intimidating, studly O-linemen, out of Allen. He's a guy that people really didn't talk about, but he was in that great class a year ago, and a 4-star, and now he's looking like he might be a starter next year. I know Hudson and DJ Campbell are out, but he's a guy that I think played really well and will be a factor going forward. And then obviously Hayden Connor was starting at center for the second team, which was surprising, but he did well with that group. But just a lot of great talent in that room, a lot of experience, and it's just super exciting. The whole offense, up and down the board, there's not really any holes, I want to say. It's a very complete roster, experienced and talented. So it's very exciting to see what Sark can do with this offense.
Yeah. So my initial thoughts, or my thoughts in general for the offense, the O-line. So I remember last year they kind of played into being a good unit. It was until like this latter half of the season where they really started to pick up steam. So for me personally, the 2 tackles, obviously, they're set in stone. Christian Jones and Banks, right? But in the middle, the guards, the center, I feel like there's going to be a lot of movement there, personally, and I want to see how that shakes out a little bit with, with Neto playing decently well, Caden Connor doing well too, and Cole Hudson. I noticed that for me, going into the fall, the biggest question for me in the offense is the O-line. If that's clicking and we have the dominant run game, because you gotta remember, last year we had a good run game because we had Bijan Robinson. And I think sometimes in the run game, the interior kind of was iffy, and especially when we needed to close out games, it just wasn't there. So I'm really hoping to see how that interior line shakes out. I think they played all right in the spring game, but I thought they could have been a little better. But yeah, O-line, biggest question for me. I like that you brought up the running backs real quick. I remember, man, what year was that? I think it was like maybe the first year we started doing this. Like, it was a sophomore. I forget even who the running backs were back then. Whoever was after Deontay Foreman, I don't even remember. But we were always talking about, like, we have nothing back there. It's barren. Like, there's no depth down there. It's awful.
Ingram. That's
Deontay Ingram. No, it's fine. I was like, man, it's like all blur. Those seasons. So yeah, I remember being like, we don't have a guy. I'm pretty positive from everything I've been reading and the sentiment of the team. Brooks is 1A. Like he's absolutely. I think this guy's going to get the first crack and get the majority of the workload. However, I think we're going to have a lot of quote unquote 1Bs. Cedric Baxter's going to be involved. He's a little skinny right now, but he'll grow into it. And he's hitting holes hard. He's running in between tackles well. That's the main thing you got to do well in a Sark offense. If you're a running back, you got to run between the tackles. And I think Brooks can do that. He's flashed that. Real exciting things about Savion Red. Anytime you get a guy switching positions, especially from another skill position to running back, kind of like Roshan, I kind of get excited because the coaching staff are like, hey, we need to use you. So I think he might be used more than like Keelan a little bit, in my opinion, but we'll see how that goes. Wide receiver, love it. Love it. I want every single one of the guys' jerseys on there. And it just goes to show that last year if Brendan Thompson transferred out, I'd be freaking out. But now I'm wishing him the best at OU because it really does not matter because he wasn't going to play. I mean, rip, but good luck to the young man. But yeah, there's experience and depth just like at every position now, but especially at wide receiver, very happy with that. So, and Jaden DeChavion Sanders, we know what he's going to be. He's the best. That's arguably the best tight end in the nation coming into this year. A lot of them went to the draft this year, so he might be up there. And then, what's his face? What's the backup's name? Gunnar Helm. More than just a blocker this year. He's going to be used more. So it's really exciting.
My quick thoughts on the offense. I'll be brief with it. I think the two most important things that we're going to need from this team, everything else is going to follow suit if this works well. Interior line play, like you just said, Madrid. I think that's fantastic. Interior line and Quinn Ewers. If those two things play well, we will have an elite offense, I believe. Our receiver core is talented and deep enough that I think even if someone went down, we're not even talking about Nayor yet. Nayor really bad. Like we're so incredibly deep, and I feel like we say that a lot of years. This year, truly believe it. Super deep there. Even the young guys, I feel like, can get meaningful reps in. Tight ends we're pretty good on. Outside offensive linemen we're great on. And we have the O-line depth to where if any of those guys went down, we'd be good. Really, I think it comes down to quarterback play. If Quinn can have a great year, we're going to be great, period. And then if our interior line can get better, we're going to have a great running game to couple with that, because I have no issue with a running back by committee type setup this year. I think that'll work fine. These guys are talented enough to be able to handle that. Plus, our receiving core is going to be so dangerous that this will allow them space to have. We didn't have that last year behind Jonathan Brooks and Keelan Robinson and this slew of other people that we have. I don't think we're necessarily going to need that bell cow. I will say that Brooks will be that bell cow based off of what I did see in the spring game and throughout the spring. But I think we're good. And it really just comes down to those two important keys. And with that, this team has the ability to have an offense that this is pretty, maybe I shouldn't even be saying this because this may be too bold and too big of a proclamation, but could match the talent of a 2018 LSU potentially. Probably not. That's probably a little too far considering how good their receivers were and how good Joe Burrow was, but it gets you excited is what I'm getting at. So be excited for the offense, and it really comes down to those little pieces coming together.
Yeah, I know. I hear what you're saying because, like, the thing about that LSU offense was it was just across the board. They were just good everywhere. There was no hole. Like, they had a good tight end, a great O-line that, like, won the best O-line award, a great quarterback, great running back, and they had, of course, a great receiver room. They had no holes. And that's how our offense looks on paper, and hopefully we hope it becomes that. But, yeah, like, on paper, it's like – now, relatively flawless.
Now that I think about it, I'm like, that's stupid because like Joe Burrow is like one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and like they have two of potentially the top 3 receivers in the NFL that were on the roster at the same time, and Justin Jefferson and
Top 5 almost, bro.
well, I was saying top 3.
Yeah, I mean, I think you said 30. My bad. I was
Oh
like,
no, top 3.
okay, my bad. I was like, top
I
30. I mean, I think you could shorten it a little bit.
why am I blanking on his name? Justin Jefferson and
Jamar Chase.
Chase. That's who it is. Yeah. Anyway,
Man,
foolish proclamation, but I was getting excited.
No, not
but-
really, but they don't have to be that good though.
Right,
You know what I
they
mean?
don't.
It's like what they really need to be is like no holes. And that
Yeah.
type of team, especially in college ball, can go so far. It's like having adults in the room. It's amazing. That LSU team was special, obviously, but like for us to succeed, we just need to be like 50% of what that was. And I think, at least on paper, possible.
yeah, I agree. I'm glad you brought that up, Trevor, because I have the same thoughts. Obviously, we're not going to be that good, obviously, but like it kind of parallels with the roster setup and just kind of how complete it feels on offense. But anyways, anything else on offense before we switch over to defense? No?
We need a new punter.
Yeah, he's on his way from Stanford. Smart kid.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the defense, I was on Twitter, I saw Longhorn Frenzy tweeting out.
I guess
the
punter's
Aggies-
defense, but continue.
Yeah.
Kicker, nothing to talk about. But
Yeah, Will Stone, Bird Auburn. But yeah, I saw like on the message boards, they're trying to really I'm gonna ask y'all's opinion on this. They're trying to really emphasize the loss of Gary Patterson is like a very detrimental thing for our defense. And I think maybe in some matchups, Gary Patterson was very important. Obviously, the Alabama game, the TCU game. But I think also he kind of served his purpose here. Like it's not like whatever he showed PK and showed our veterans and showed the assistants, like all that's going to be just blank out of their memory. Like they're going to take stuff that they learned under Gary Patterson and continue to apply it. And I don't think it's going to be a massive drop off like rivals are hoping to see for our defense, and especially when you consider the roster we're bringing back. The D line, I mean, I really like the way it's setting up because you're seeing Alfred Collins finally begin to emerge. It seems like we've been waiting for it. We've heard flashes, but it seems like this is finally it. Yeah, for him, it's also a contract year, so it needs to happen now. And it's kind of become a theme with this team, like the players develop and as they get older, and Alfred Collins is next in line for that. Obviously, Byron Murphy is a grown man, and the way that Sark talks about him is you can tell he's going to be a force for us. Probably be our best D lineman, honestly. And what I really like about Murphy is his ability to get pressure on the quarterback from the interior. We haven't had a D tackle that's been good at that. I mean, Coburn and Ojimo and I don't know who else. They're not really pass rushers.
They were like middle of the run lane, just kind of like stop the holes type stuff.
Yeah,
this guy is like Aaron Donald, not level like athleticism or type of player, but like that type of like interior rush, which is kind of unheard of.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's got that same Aaron Donald type build. He looks really menacing down there. And I mean, you watch him in the spring game, he's always just causing problems, which is just so exciting. I mean, so that's really exciting. And then obviously we also have Tavondre Sweat, the veteran. I'm glad he came back because that dude is ginormous and he's a great run clogger. And he's been there. He played well against Alabama, got a safety against Bryce Young. So the D line on the interior is really good. You want a little more depth. We added Trill Carter from Minnesota, who's like honorable all Big Ten. He's very experienced. So that's a good depth piece. And then Sadir Mitchell even looked good. He's huge. The freshman from New Jersey, the 4-star D tackle. That dude, I don't know how he's so big. I think he needs to lose some weight, but I was about to say,
man, like, can he move?
Yeah. Yeah. And he made a couple really nice plays. I was really impressed. So I really like the way our D line's shaping up. You want to just keep stacking those players, though, because you can never have enough depth on the interior of the D line, especially in the league that we're heading to next year. The edges, I thought I was really impressed with Burke, and obviously Sorrell plays well, but I thought Ethan Brooks really doing a good job of transforming his body. He's starting to look like a college defensive end. instead of like just a little fat kid from Westlake. So he's looking really good. He played really well. And then Justice Finkley's, he's just steady. He's not going to be the pass rushing guy getting the flashy sacks, but he's going to force running backs to, get back sent back into the rush, and he's just going to clog lanes and do the little things, which is really important. So obviously we want to get a good edge transfer, but that's really hard to find unless you're going to throw around $1 million for somebody like USC is doing right now with Bear Alexander. But maybe we'll get Colin Simmons next year as a recruit. But I think that these guys are developing. I think it's good enough. But I think our main edge rush is going to come from Anthony Hill, like true freshman 5-star from Denton Ryan. I mean, he looked fantastic. That's the guy that we flipped from A&M. And I'm just so excited to see Anthony Hill and what Pete Kwiatkowski can do with them, because Washington, he didn't really get many 5-star talents like Anthony Hill. And Coach K is great at just creating pass rush with linebackers. That was kind of his calling card in DNs at Washington. And now he's got this kid who's just going to be a freak. So it's just going to be so fun to watch Anthony Hill progress. I think he's going to end up being a starter for us next year. And he's going to be asked to blitz a lot because we don't really have, the star sack generator like a Joseph Ossai. We don't have that. So Anthony Hill might have to be that for us. And I think he's going to do great at it. And the linebacking room looked good. Jalen Ford looks great. David Benda continuing to develop. He's like a 5th-year guy, a grown man. So hopefully he can really contribute this year and help us with our depth. Jeb Bush even looks good. I'm glad that they don't have him playing hand in the dirt anymore. You can't have that guy hand in the dirt against a 6'7", 300-pound tackle. So I like the way the room looks. We want more depth, but even Leona LaFau looked really good too with the other true freshmen. And we have more talent coming in the summer. So very excited about the front seven. We're building it from the ground up with Sark, and you can see it slowly but surely. It's happening. And the secondary, Jaron Thompson still here, grown man. Keaton Crawford looks really good. Even BJ Allen looked good, a guy that we haven't heard much of, but he's developing. And then Ryan Watts, oh my gosh. Ryan Watts got to be my favorite player. That dude just looks so menacing as a 6'3", just huge corner. And he's really good. Like, he can hit, he can cover, he's long. That's a guy that I think is going to be a good NFL player. Gavin Holmes had made a couple plays to transfer from Wake Forest. And Malik Muhammad looks really good, the highly rated 4-star from South Oak Cliff. He looks like he's college ball ready with his body. Terrence Brooks made some good plays. This is a really healthy room, I want to say. And Xavier Bryce even was really sticky on receivers. I was watching him downfield. So I think that the secondary is going to be a pleasant surprise this year. And we do have Jalen Catalon. So you never know. I mean, that's kind of like house money with Jalen Catalon. If he comes back and gets healthy, that's like a all SEC type player that was projected a first rounder at times. So that'd just be a cherry on top of it. But I think this defense has a lot of good pieces, and it's just time. They seem to gel and continue to develop, but I really like the trajectory of the defense going into the season.
I want to answer your question about Gary Patterson, and I he was definitely just situational. He was definitely not like he was definitely helping with game plans for certain, especially like Bama and OU and all that stuff. Like, I'm sure he was on it, but like, this was PK's defense. And the reason we know it's PK's different defense is because it stayed the same even through all the growing pains last year. Like, there's a lot of times when we were, especially that Tech game, where we were really questioning if this was the system to be running, the defensive system to be running here, and or if we had the guys capable of doing it. But it got better throughout the year. It really did, and it's a credit to PK, just in the type of coach he is, to stick with his system and know that it works. I really like to see that. Starting with defensive line, I think that's something we're all really excited about. I'm really glad that Alpha Collins is like looking athletic out there. He looks it's for a D lineman, he's really springy, and he was batting some balls down. I think tipped one of Quinn's balls, which is really good to see. They were doing a good job with that, teaching that last year too, for sure. I'm hearing rumblings of my boy Vernon, who is maybe caring about football again, and at least maybe in the rotation. I'm joking, but I would love to see him in the rotation. I remember it was a big deal when we got him, stole him away from A&M. So I really hope that guy pans out. It's just kind of weird in college football. It's like a luxury. In the NFL, everyone has like a one good premier pass rusher, or at least serviceable, because you have to. But here, like they're all obviously the big name schools have them, but it's hard to think about like brand name edge rushers that are not like number one on draft boards. But I think what Burke is putting together on tape is good. Probably needs a little bit more work setting that edge against running attacks and closing in and not being pushed out too much or up the field. So, but he does look like he's growing, and I wouldn't mind him being our starting edge there and getting after the quarterback, because I think he has that potential. Binkley, that guy is just. I remember seeing that guy's Twitter when he first was getting recruited, and I was kind of scared of him. He's just so scary looking in like a good football way. So hopefully that translates to the field. Sorrell, we've seen what he can do. Really excited about him. Linebacker, I'm not surprised because development is something we probably got to get used to now. But Benda is stepping up, and I was kind of hesitant on that guy personally. But you got Trevor Johnson, I think that's his last name, and guys like Derek Brown, more of an edge, but still in the linebacker kind of group. You see them transferring out, and that's to me a good sign that the coaches feel comfortable with what they got there. And Benda, I mean, it was his to lose, really. He was next man up there in that position. I forget the name of the position, but I'm gonna screw his name up. But is it Leafu? How do you say that?
Lafau.
Lafau?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He's been playing well too, and I think that's a good sign that if those guys are transferring out, because those are quality players that could be used in the system. I think that's good. They probably won't be able to keep Anthony Hill off the field for much longer. I mean, he'll probably start, and I think at the beginning they were like, "Oh, we're gonna ease him in," but he's quickly. They're giving this guy the accelerated course to probably start, and he's gonna be a big deal for us. I like what you put here. And Hill is gonna be our Micah Parsons, and it's kind of true. If you think about think about the Cowboys real quick. Outside of DeMarcus Lawrence for a couple years, it was really just him. And DeMarcus Lawrence, great, but he was getting older, right? But what Micah Parsons does is he's able to be like three positions because he's super fast and he takes amazing angles. He's super strong. Now, Ant Hill is nowhere near Micah Parsons, but that type of mold of where it's like you're roaming around the whole field, you're quick enough, you're smart enough, you have great angles to get to the quarterback. I think we might see him getting at the quarterback a lot, especially when our edges are just solid, not okay. I think he can be a real weapon in that regard. And as for the secondary, I love all those guys. Like I really do. This is. I know I've given in the past, I've given some of those old guys, and I think it's just Keaton and Jaron. Now I give those guys a lot of trouble just because I've seen it. I've seen too many nightmares from them. But now it's not only them. Ryan Watts looks amazing. That guy. There was always rumors of, especially at Ohio State, that guy going to safety. He was too big, but I think him with his size at 6'3" is really exciting and really devastating if he's takes another leap. But I think there's a lot of depth there, and I think outside of Watts and probably Gavin Holmes, it's gonna be a kind of a mixture of all of them. Keaton might be that kind of enforcer, and then Catalan that leader. But I'm excited to see how that kind of shakes up because I think that's one of those position groups that's really kind of fluid right now, and rightfully so. There's a lot of talent there. So
Yeah, I don't have too many additional thoughts about defense, other than kind of like what we said about offense. I feel like this is a pretty deep, well-rounded defense. Um, when you think about last year's defense at their best, they had a really good defense. Probably best in Big 12 at our best. And one that can keep us in games if the offense is struggling. There were definitely a few games where it wasn't that great. But I think with the leadership and another year under the belt of so many of these guys, another year playing together, I think this may be one of our best defenses. I really do. Going from line all the way up. Linebacker might be, like we said, still needs that development in terms of depth. Obviously we got, our home run hitters like like an Anthony Hill or um, Jalen Ford, obviously. But secondary wise, I feel like it's pretty deep defense. I mean, it's all pretty deep. I think it comes, unlike the offense, I would say. I don't know if this defense really falls onto a particular position group as much as it does depth. How throughout a game do we have the developed depth to where when our starters are not playing that we're going to still be able to hang in there? That'd be my key, I think. I'm curious if you guys agree with that assessment, but all around, to me, I mean, I literally pulled up the roster as you were talking Madrid and just going through the names and everything, and it's good. Like all these names, they're not like who, and people that I don't recognize. I mean, you got your occasional walk on, but like I'm like, oh yeah, he's good, he's good.
I mean, yeah, there was a time when we were like, who is that in the secondary?
Right.
Who is that?
Yeah.
But that's no longer. I would say we do have a overall like really good defense, but I really do think it's anchored by that defensive line and
Yeah.
good. I think PK's whole system is having like a dominant run stopper kind of guy in the middle, and I think Sweat really translates well to that. And I think that's what's going to be predicated on. So yeah, overall yes, but I do think that D line is like the heart right now.
For sure. Myers, do you agree with that? Any additional defensive thoughts?
Well, it's funny because you said like this defense seems very complete, except depth. Maybe at linebacker and D line, you want a little more depth. But for the most part, it seems very well built. We just want to add, more edge rushing and be able to get home to the quarterback more because we had a lot of hurries, a lot of pressure. We would disrupt the pocket, but we would let
You're
them
right
just
on
dance
that.
around too much. So I think obviously the guys are developing and it will improve. And then Anthony Hill, I think, is the X factor there. So yeah, man, I just want to kind of let's go back, like zoom out a little bit. You talked about how the offense seems so just complete, stout. The defense also seems that way in terms of the roster. So it's hard not to be drinking the Kool-Aid. Like Matt Madrid said, the Kool-Aid tastes different this year. So it's just kind of anxious, just waiting for the season to come around because it really feels like this team is ready to go and hopefully be special. So yeah, I don't really have anything else like in detail. Just more just big picture. I'm just very excited about what this team can be this year. And you look at the schedule and the rest of the Big 12, it's just like if it's not this year, it's just like I don't know when it's going to happen because it's got to happen eventually.
No, you're right, dude. If it's not for me, we're getting kind of big picture again now. First off, you can make a case that the defense is on a more ascendant or is leveling up a little better than the offense. You got to remember that first year of Sark, man. Oh my God. Like you could run a freaking freight train down the middle on us, man. It was not pretty. I don't actually miss thinking about that at all. But the jump that they made this year, I think the top 30 defense. I think they was a
Yeah.
top 30 defense. Yeah, like that
Well,
was a. It was close. It was towards the end of the. It wasn't high. Like it wasn't like 15 or something, but it was hovering around there. Like very like serviceable defense that would get stops and get especially turnovers. That was a big deal last year. I remember we got a lot of turnovers, more so than I remember, and timely ones too. But I honestly do think they're on a they might be on a slightly better trajectory than the offense, just because how offenses play, especially Sark's system. But I really do think these players have taken to PK's way of defense kind of seamlessly, and they're being used to their strengths a lot more. And then again, just zooming out, this roster is built for a conference championship. Personally, I'm never gonna put like the whole you gotta win it, because like I just gotta see us get there before. Like we were so low, and like I after that 5-7 season, I need to see like every single baby step. But if there's a roster to do it's this one. And it's tough not to be high on these guys. It's really not. But I think it's kind of real when you see other people outside of Texas start realizing this type of stuff. And not like the whole like, oh, Texas is ranked preseason 13. It's not like that type of hype where it's like, or like legacy quarterback Sam Ehlinger coming back for his third year. They should be at least a little bit better. Him carrying us to wins and stuff. There's talks about like the roster and like individual players. I don't know if any of you guys watch what's his name, Josh Pate on the late kick. Yeah, that guy is up there with what's his face, who's handsome man on Fox. What's his name again?
Joe
Klatt.
Joe Slatt.
Joe Klatt. Joe Schlatt, yeah. He's out of like nice, neutral, objective, straight, call it how it is, college football talk, which is kind of tough to find nowadays, honestly. He's up there. And he when he even says something about like this team looks a little different, or this team has the pieces, you pay attention a little bit more. So I feel better about this year sipping on a little bit of Kool-Aid when I know I'm not the only one. I know the fans aren't the only ones just doing it. There's some other people that kind of realize it too. So I think that's a really cool trajectory to be on. Yeah, and the fact that like, look, I don't want to hate on other schools, but I do that anyways. But I don't want to. I don't know. There's been reports about some other SEC schools. I think we made a dent in their recruiting, and I think we've shown our face that we are a force to be reckoned with, even the transfer portal and even with recruiting and everything. And that hurts these other teams. And we got to remember they were stealing our talent for a long, long time. All we had to do was catch up. So I'm liking what we're seeing.
Yeah. Let me just add real quick. I like how you're like the hype feels. It's not like it's kind of nice how we're not like projected as a top 5 team. Like you look at all the except FPI, of course. You know,
I was gonna say,
yeah,
That's not real. That don't.
I was
no,
right
it's not
about
real.
to say, like ESPN's
I'm not
pretty
believing
high
that.
on Texas.
What some
Yeah.
bot said.
Number 4 to be exact.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. It's gonna be not. We're not gonna be a preseason top 10 team. And it kind of feels like
I don't know. I think there's a chance.
maybe we'll slip in there, but it's not like people are penciling us into the playoff
Right.
like they would like to if we had maybe won the Alamo Bowl or maybe not choked against Tech and went to the Big 12 championship, because we were just bad enough last year where like the team is not drinking their own Kool-Aid. The team still feels like they have work to do, because in years past, like the Sugar Bowl, Sam Ehlinger, Herman, they thought we had arrived. They thought that was it. And then 2019 happened. This team still has a lot to prove because they didn't do anything last year. They were very close, but didn't. So that's also working for us in terms of like the way the media is perceiving us. We're not getting hyped up, except for RG3, who declared us back in the spring game. he's drinking the Kool-Aid, but it's nice to see us kind of flying under the radar relative to Texas. And the FPI obviously high on us, like very high. Like they say, like we're by far the fourth most likely team to go to the playoff. Like it's a kind of like an outlier compared to the rest of the teams behind us. So, and the talent's always been there, the on paper talent, but now it's a different type of experienced talent, that's proven talent, developed talent, which is a whole different ball game for us because we haven't had that since Mac. So it's kind of nice, man, that we can just kind of chill and just wait and then hopefully ambush Alabama in week 2, because I don't think Alabama is really expecting much from Texas either this next year. So I think it's very under the radar, like kind of weirdly under the radar for Texas this offseason.
Hey, Bama beat writer was saying shaky secondary, shaky O-line. That's all I'm saying. If they're saying it, I don't know.
Shaky everything. I don't know about Bama. I mean, I know they have players, but they've lost a lot. And
they deserve the benefit of the doubt, but
yeah, absolutely.
It's a little different.
Yeah. I'm not saying
we're not saying anything. We're not saying anything.
Yeah. Any final thoughts? Or I mean, I guess we kind of just gave some, but to wrap up this video going forward into the summer.
One quick, I wanted to share this story because I've never paid attention to spring games, right? I think Matt, you were there the spring game 2 years ago, and I think it was the COVID one. Anyways, Fanatic perspective, Tran was there, and he came out all sweaty. Definitely been drinking a lot of beers. Great guy. He came out and goes, "Dude, we fucking suck." And I was like, "What, bro? It's a spring game. It's okay."
We were
but
all there.
Now we're all yeah.
We met Steve. Well, Myers and I met Steven, and you were with your girlfriend, so you didn't meet him.
No, I didn't. R.I.P. But I remember it being like, no, I thought we looked all right. This is the first spring game where I'm like, oh, like this is what like a good spring game looks like. And it doesn't even need to be off the charts. It's just kind of like, like, oh, these look like adults and they look competent and they're looking.
We actually had there were actually like highlight plays. Like, when's the last time in a spring game it was like, oh, that was a flashy play?
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly, for me, it goes back to like 2016 when Shane Buechele showed up on campus, because I remember he really lit it up in the spring game, and I feel like since then spring games have been pretty vanilla,
Just write that shit off.
This had a handful of real kind of flash plays. So cool. Anything else? We good? We feeling great? Thank you guys for watching. I guess it's been a bit of a long show, but we had a lot to catch up on. So again, like, comment, subscribe. We want to hear your thoughts in the comments. We'll try to interact with you there. Be patient with us. We're busy adults. Like we said, this doesn't pay the bills. This is for the love of the game. So those comments, those likes mean that much more to us.
Especially,
we're still going to try making videos. We will. We love doing this, so we'll make it a priority. But be on the lookout for videos in the future. And whenever you see one, get real excited and click on it, like it, and do everything. Because there won't be a constant stream of them. So we're that little thing that every now and again will come along and you're like, oh yes, I've been waiting for Texas Platinum. So please do that. It'd mean a lot to us.
Hey, and if we get good, we're gonna probably be creating more content. We'll be
that
really
too.
So
it ebbs and flows.
It's a win-win for everybody involved if we're good this
year.
It
ebbs and flows with my mental state, which is controlled by this football team. So that's how you know.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Thank y'all for watching. Y'all take care. Horns up. Hook 'em.
Thank you.
Later.
See ya.
Bye.